Real families, real farms, real food. Welcome to Arizona Agriculture Connection with Maricopa County Farm Bureau. My name is Nicole Clements, Executive Director, and I'll be your host. Maricopa County Farm Bureau is the voice of agriculture in a community that thrives on the dichotomy of urban and rural agriculture operations. This podcast is a home for farmers, ranchers, food lovers, prospective agriculturalists, and those looking to connect the food on their plate with the farm that it came from. As we take an inside look at agriculture in Arizona, we will delve into topics like ag technology, policy, food preparation, and everything in between. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform with new episodes every Wednesday. Arizona Agriculture Connection is hosted by Maricopa County Farm Bureau and sponsored by Paloma Ready Mix and Materials, a proud supporter of agriculture and our communities. Be sure to subscribe and share your favorite episodes with your friends. For more interactions, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Maricopa County FB. Now let's discover some Arizona agriculture.
Welcome back, Arizona Aggies, to another edition that is very special and coming to you live from Anaheim, California this week with the absolutely incredible and fashionable Coach Kiah. So welcome. Thank you so much for finding the time. I know your schedule is absolutely crazy when you're here, so we just cannot thank you enough.
I am delighted to make time to chat, and it's been so wonderful to meet you and all the incredible Farm Bureau members that are here this week.
It is such a week of collaboration and just further agriculture as a whole. And listening to you speak yesterday was just incredible. And it really was just equally informative and inspiring. And so I just want to touch on a little bit of your backstory and like how you got here.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that feedback. That means the world to me. Every time I speak, I just want to make sure that I do the room proud and let it be less about me and just making sure it touches the hearts of the women and men in the room. So thank you for that. The way that I got here, you could say was by accident or maybe by design. I don't know, whatever you believe. But I grew up about 250 miles north of here in rural California on my family's cattle ranch. I was the 6th generation. My nieces are now the 7th generation. And I loved cattle. I loved growing up on a ranch. It was so wonderful. But what I love more than cows is I love people. And so while I loved the roots that I was raised in, I had dreams of faraway places and doing things that were not agriculturally related. So I went away to school. I lived in Europe for a year. But agriculture has a way of pulling you back in. So really the beginning of my professional career was in agricultural communications. It felt like this happy medium between, okay, how can I be the bridge? How can I be the one that works with people, that connects with people, that talks to consumers to share the story of agriculture? And that first job was in Kentucky for the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. So still at that time, I found my way back in agriculture, but I still wasn't on the ranch that I was raised. And something I shared yesterday in my talk was how I always had this conflict within me, which was, where do I fit? Where do I fit in my family's legacy story, right? We've got this rich heritage here in rural California. I'm far, far away from my family's ranch, but I want to do something to continue that family legacy. And I had the opportunity to interview my grandfather before he passed, and he gave me the greatest gift by telling me that the ranch gives you roots, but roots aren't meant to keep you stuck. And it was kind of like this permission slip for me to recognize, what are my own unique gifts and talents? What do I bring to the table? How can I leave my legacy, continue my family's legacy in a new way? And it doesn't have to look the same as the generations before me. I don't even have to have boots on the ground in order to continue that legacy in a powerful, meaningful way. And getting to do what I do now as a motivational speaker and getting to travel all around the country speaking to non-ag groups as well, but a lot of women in ag groups, young farmer and rancher groups, and really find myself not in that production agriculture position or even necessarily just marketing, but really on the other side of getting to empower the men and women within our industry to find more joy in this messy journey of life. And I think that we could all use a little bit more of that.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting that, you come from the ranching background and you're out there and you love this rural life, but you also love people, because a lot of times it's the opposite. It's like, so I want to be out here with my cows.
Where there are no people.
No people, which is like probably my preference.
Yeah,
but
sure.
And I think just the thought of having the forethought to have those conversations with your grandpa and to record them, something that I have been thinking a lot more about as like my parents are getting older, my mom passed. And when I was home for Christmas with my dad on the farm, And I just started grabbing random videos of him. And I think as the younger generation, that's something that, like, you know, we're always on our phone. And so, like, when we're, you know, we're trying not to be on our phone or, you know, trying to be present in the moment, like with our parents or our grandparents. But, like, it really was so special to me to, like, grab some of those moments of my dad and just, like, make sure that I have them, because you never know what memories you're going to want to look back on.
Oh my gosh, I could not agree more. This was maybe a couple years ago now. I was at one of my family's cattle brandings. And it's so funny because I grew up on a ranch, but, like, don't ask me to saddle your horse, okay? Like, my dad is one of 8 children, which is like 1,000 kids. And he was one of his siblings that never really got into the horse thing, never really got into rodeo like the rest of them. He was more into mechanics. And so we grew up, when we were all gathering cattle as a family, more on like 4-wheelers and ATVs and motorcycles. So that was more my preferred ride versus a horse. But I was at this cattle branding, and, you know, everyone has their place, right? There's someone who's giving the vaccinations, there's someone with the ball bucket. That used to be my job as a kid. You know, there's people horseback. And I had brought my camera that day, and I was taking pictures. And it was this moment of realization as I'm, you know, sitting on the fence rail, taking photos of all my family. I'm like, oh, this is a place where I fit. Maybe one of my places to continue my family's legacy is I'm the documentarian, right? I'm the one who is capturing the story and letting it live on for another generation. If we don't take the time to capture the pictures, the videos, the stories, how are we going to share that with the next generation? So I think that's so special that we do that we take the time, because they're going to be so, so cherished when the generation before us is gone.
Yeah, I always made it a point, especially because I don't live close to my parents' farm, to be present when I was with them, right? So I was like, put the phone down, don't do that. But really having those moments, and like, my dad has a flip phone. Like, he's not, he can't take pictures and send them to me of whatever's going on. Like, I have to call my sister and say, hey, can you drive to the farm? And then show Dad this picture that I'm sending you. Like, but having that is just really, really special. And I think, please don't forget to just record some of the memories.
Yes. And it might seem like so silly and mundane to you, like, why do I need to record this? But that's the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of hopping forward a little bit. So talk about a lot of the topics that you went over yesterday. So incredibly relatable. And I think some stuff that maybe people are hesitant to talk about.
Sure.
Like, when you speak to the things I inherited that I didn't really want, like that, first of all, yes, absolutely. 100 gas lamps, anybody? Like, what am I going to do with all of these?
There's someone out there really wanting to collect those gas lamps from you.
Yes. But can you speak a little bit about that, and especially coming from this agricultural perspective of it?
Sure.
When you're inheriting a farm or a ranch, or you're in that transition planning period, even, like, how are we navigating that?
Yeah. The first thing I'll say is, like, it's tough, right? I think that part of the strength of agriculture is that so much of it has been traditionally a family generational story. And also that's the thing that makes it extra challenging too, right? It's a strength and a weakness in a lot of ways, or a challenge, I guess I should say. So a message I was sharing yesterday with the women's group was all about legacy. It was talking about the roots that rise. And when we think about legacy, I think that we can think about the traditional things that are changing hands, like the land, the deeds, the businesses, the operations. And yes, that's part of our legacy. And there are pieces of our legacy that we want to cherish, to continue on for generations to come. And when we think about legacy too, I want to encourage us to think even broader about, like, the legacy is more than just the land. It's also in our actions, in the thoughts and beliefs that we carry and hold, in our skill sets that we move forward, that we inherited from those before us, that maybe we're teaching the younger generation as well. And there's so many of those that are so special to us. You know, I think that my love of people is actually one that I inherited from my grandfather, because he loved a new audience, he would say. He delighted in meeting people from different walks of life, from different backgrounds and beliefs, to challenge their perspective, to allow his perspective be challenged. And I can feel his legacy live on in me, even when I'm having a conversation here on the couch with you on the podcast. Like, I really feel like this is part of his legacy living in me. And I feel my grandmother's legacy when I'm baking bread in my kitchen, and when I'm painting. She was a beautiful artist. But also, I think it's important for us to ask, what legacies do I want to safeguard and continue? But also, what are the legacies that need to evolving, right? What are some of the legacies that maybe just need to be let go? I think it's important that we approach our families and our culture with a lot of compassion and curiosity instead of judgment, right? And one of the stories that I was sharing is that one of the legacies I was handed that I did not ask for, and one that I am really mindful of as I have a little girl who's about to turn 1 year old that I don't want to hand off to her, is I inherited a lot of shame around my body and my body image and my self-worth. And I can see now how my grandmother had inherited that from her mother, and she probably inherited that from her mother. And it was this generational story and belief about our worth being connected to our body that continued down to me, for better or for worse. And so when I think about legacy, I can think about all the good stuff, right? That's important. But I also can get curious about, like, what are the legacies that maybe don't feel as good? What are the legacies that I want to be mindful steward of so that I don't plant that seed in the next generation? Some legacies are meant to evolve, right? And I think it's important that we think legacy is not about replication. It's not about doing the same things the same way they've always done within your family, within your business, your operation, within your organization. But it's important for us to think about our legacy is how can we bring our own unique gifts and contribute to the story moving forward? And how can we also have the courage to ask, what stops here? How can I be maybe a generational legacy changer here, right? How can I break certain cycles and allow my family's legacy to evolve in a way that I think is going to serve the next generation, maybe just a little bit better than how it left me?
Is so just having that mindset, I think, when we look at, I really want this operation to be a legacy operation, right? Well, legacies are flexible.
Yeah.
And that's how they are sustainable. And also just saying it's okay that sometimes, we're just going to leave this in 2020.
Right.
Yes. Some of it doesn't need to move forward. And that is okay, because I think I've always kind of thought that when you say this is the way we've always done it, that can be the most detrimental and expensive sentence that you could ever say.
You're so right.
And so when we think let's change, it's okay to change. And it feels uncomfortable and this doesn't really fit, but it will, and you'll grow into it. And especially in such a traditional type role in agriculture it's hard to think about, but I think incredibly necessary.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that makes agriculture special is there's so many cross generations that are working together all at one time. And I think that it's important that we're all open to learning and receiving from each other, right? Obviously, there's so much wisdom that we can glean from the older generations that we're working with alongside that we're learning from. But I also think it's important that the older generations recognize that there's so much to be learned from the younger generations. And we need to invite more curiosity, flexibility. And yeah, I'm with you. This is how I've always done it. That rigid thinking, I think, is sometimes the thing that makes those legacies end with us. Without that, willingness to innovate and evolve, so crucial.
And just looking at the demographic of the people that are here at the American Farm Bureau Convention. And, the average age of farmer is, I think nationwide, we're looking at 58.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I see so many young faces here. And it's inspiring, it's promising, just the wealth of knowledge that's here, and us being able to share that not only across state borders, but generational borders.
Absolutely. It's phenomenal. I think when I look out into the sea of members that are here, you see high school students, and you also see people toting around their children, right? Fresh off of the Disney train, which is so fun. And yeah, people that are in their 80s. And I think that's what makes this industry so special. And I think the main thing we have to keep in mind is, and I think something that Farm Bureau does really, really great from a grassroots level up, is teaching communication skills. Speaking from my own experience, my own family, I think the most of our hardships that we've navigated, it all comes down to lack of communication. And we've got to start having conversations. Yes, within our business operations about business things and transitions, but also about our feelings. I don't think agriculture traditionally has been really great at the whole feelings thing. We've been very much toughen up. I'll give you something to cry about, rub some dirt in it. And we've seen this vulnerability and openness as a weakness. And it's so encouraging to see that conversation begin to change. Just this morning, Zippy Duvall, the president, was sharing about about how important it is that we open up and we talk. And it was so refreshing to see the leader of this national organization encouraging people to open up and share and talk about things. And I think 5 years ago, that would have been unheard of.
Speaking about Zippy, like, he is such a testament to lead by doing. And he puts himself out there and shares some maybe vulnerable moments from his life. And I think that is so inspiring to kind of that generation of agriculturalists, right? And it's the same thing. You know, I grew up, give you something to cry about. That was a weekly term.
Absolutely. Yes.
Parents are older, and it's kind of like I'm seeing the change in them too, saying like, maybe that wasn't how we should have done it. And like, it is okay if you come talk to me about stuff.
Yes. And I think what I think is really refreshing is like reminding people that it's okay to change your mind, right? You learn more and you do better, right? And I think that sometimes people are resistant to saying, maybe I got it wrong, because they're trying to protect themselves, you know, being defensive about things. But I think it's important that we come to the table open-minded and be willing to say, okay, maybe that was wrong. Because there's still so much opportunity for repair, right? In relationships and communication. And I see a shift happening in our industry, and thank heavens for that.
Yes, agreed. Well overdue, but the fact that we're addressing it now and that we have resources to share, like the AgriStress helpline that we have in Arizona and a few other states, but just having the resources and also the communication skills to share those resources with our peers in agriculture is a shift that I think we can all jump on this wave and keep going. So we've touched on kind of legacy and traditional agriculture. What do you have to share for those young folks that maybe aren't in agriculture but want to be?
Yeah. You know, I think kind of touching back to legacy, I had mentioned that it's not about replication, but it's about asking, what can I contribute? Growing up on a cattle ranch, I had a very narrow perspective about what opportunities existed in agriculture, just based on my experience, right? I thought, I like cows, but I like people more, so I'm going to get out of agriculture. Like, I thought I was going to leave the industry entirely. And it wasn't until I had attended a leadership conference at college, it was in Missouri, through Agriculture Future of America, that my eyes were blown wide open. It made me realize, oh my gosh, there is something for everyone within this industry. And if you feel called to agriculture, if you feel passionate about industry that raises the food, fuel, and fiber, your contributions to this industry do not have to look like production agriculture. If that's not a place that you feel called or currently have maybe the means to be in, maybe you're really creative. Maybe you're a great communicator and marketing is your space. Maybe you're a brilliant scientist. I'm not. We need you. There are so many different places here to thrive and grow. And I think a lot of times when we want to be a part of something, we ask the question, well, where do I fit? How do I need to be to belong here? And instead, I want to encourage people to ask, what do I have to offer? And what can I bring to the table to enrich this industry in my own unique way? Not how can I fit in, but how can I be more of myself in a way that can be woven into a part of this story? So I would get curious about, what are your skill sets? What is something that only you can bring to the table? Because that's what we need more of. We need more of people doing the things that they're fired up about, that they're skilled at, for us to innovate through time, no matter what aspect of the industry that might be in.
That is so just nail on the head, really. And shout out to AFA, because that is such a great opportunity for young people in agriculture.
Gosh, phenomenal. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that kind of leads into just say yes and like take those opportunities, right?
Yes.
Because I think that was kind of the biggest thing that set me on the track to have, like, in this role, this is my dream job. I love what I do. Maricopa County Farm Bureau is fantastic. My board is fantastic. The farmers are great. It's such an ideal place for me.
Yeah.
And all of this kind of like lined up, and it happened for me when I started saying yes to opportunities and really putting myself out there and making friends and building a network. And, you know, like, I moved to Arizona. I didn't know a single soul, not one person. And I was like, man, how am I going to really get a career in agriculture when I don't know a single farmer or know really anything about Arizona agriculture?
Sure.
And I started saying yes, and I started showing up to Farm Bureau events.
Yep.
And that kind of really kicked it off, because Arizona Farm Bureau will take you in and shoot off like a rocket. Like, amazing. It was so great. But that's kind of when we talk about the next generation coming up, really just taking the bull by the horns and
Yes.
finding those opportunities.
Absolutely. And putting yourself out there. I mean, your story is such a testament to that. And I think sometimes we stop ourselves from putting ourselves in situations or reaching out to people because we're like, well, I don't know anything about this. I'm new here. Who am I to do that? And sometimes I think coming in with a fresh perspective, not knowing anyone or anything, can actually be your superpower. You seem to be thriving in your role. And that's because you put yourself out there. You made those connections. And so if you feel that like, well, it's a blank canvas, that can be so intimidating, but also so exciting and such a great opportunity. So get a little uncomfortable, say yes, learn, grow, meet people. And I think everything falls into place as it should, but we just have to be willing to go for it and get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, get comfy with the uncomfy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's scary, but it's so worth it.
Yes, it is.
So kind of also looking at, the younger people of the younger generation, I hear that we might have a chance to meet again soon.
Yes. I was so delighted to connect with you yesterday because I was in Maricopa. I am delighted to be coming to your neck of the woods to be speaking at the Maricopa County Fair in April at the opening ceremony. So any livestock exhibitors that are going to be there or advisors or parents, I am so excited to be joining you. And I would love to connect with some of the local Maricopa County folks here this spring.
Yes, our livestock competitors are as excited as they are fierce. It is such a great livestock show. Maricopa County Fair is amazing. And so I cannot wait to connect with you again. I'm so excited that you're coming to Arizona.
Yes, it's such an honor to be invited.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today and taking the time out of your crazy hectic schedule and just to share some of your thoughts with us. I know it's really inspiring to me, and hopefully I think it is to all of our members as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a delight. You're so wonderful. Y'all are so lucky to have her. And also just shout out to everyone that's listening to this podcast, because that shows that you are investing in your own growth, your own leadership, and owning your own place in agriculture. So I just want to encourage every single one of you that's listening to this to continue going out and following your passions, following your own gifts, and finding unique ways that you can continue agriculture's legacy in your own way.
Absolutely. Arizona Agriculture Connection is here for everyone interested in agriculture. So, Coach Kiah, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you shout out, where can everybody find you?
Sure. You can find me on most social platforms. My favorite place to hang out, because I'm a true millennial, is Instagram. I am Coach_Kiah. That's Kiah. I also have a podcast. I don't have a lot of new episodes coming out these days, but it's called Climbing with Coach Kiah. So if you're not sick of my voice, there's about 117 episodes you can go check out there. And yeah, we'd just love to connect.
Can't wait. Well, we can't wait to host you in Arizona this spring. I'm so looking forward to it. And thank you so much again for sharing with us.
Thank you, and see you soon.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Arizona Agriculture Connection, and we will catch you next Wednesday.
Thank you for tuning in today, and remember, Farm Bureau has a place for you. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your friends on socials. You can also visit our website, maricopacountyfb.org, for more information and to submit a topic you want to learn about. Remember to tune in every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts. A huge thank you to Paloma Ready Mix and Materials for supporting our agriculture producers and this podcast. Maricopa County Farm Bureau, bringing you the stories of real families, real farms, and real food. I'm Nicole Clements, signing off. Catch you next week.